Hi, everybody. It's Allison Kalsched from Not Your Mother's Menopause, and we are here for another Instagram Live, this time about fitness with Joe Meglio of GameChanger Gym. And while I'm getting him up, that our tickets are on sale for our January 11th event. January 11th, 2026, Not Your Mother's Menopause, a day-long symposium designed to help you forge a path through the menopause transition. We'll be talking about um, hormones and libido and nutrition and weight loss and fitness and so many other great topics. So I hope that if you're in the area, you will be able to join us for that. You can go to our website and get tickets there. And I'm just waiting for Joe to come on. I see that he's seeing Joe. You should have gotten an invitation. You can also click request to join the live. Hopefully, you are unable to join. Hold on, please. We're experiencing some technical difficulties. One moment. Here we go. I think I got him. It's a little bit wonky sometimes, isn't it? Are you there? Let's see. There he is. Hi,
Hello, how are
Joe.
you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. I'm not sure if my mic was working. Let me know if the sound is okay. I could try to plug it back in if it's an issue.
Sound is great. I can hear you. Sorry,
Great.
sometimes it's a little bumpy getting people in to start, and it can be a little bit crazy and awkward. And, I'm like typing in your Instagram address and trying to talk at the same time, which is not my strong point. So, anyway,
Same.
we're here.
We made it.
We made it. It's good to have you here, and we're all really excited on behalf of Stacy and April. The three of us are very excited to have you on board this year for Not Your Mother's Menopause, and to be able to do this with you tonight to chat like trainer to trainer about women. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce you so that
Awesome.
everybody here knows who you are. This is Joe Meglio. He is the founder and CEO of Game Changer Fitness, which is a personalized strength training studio with 13 locations across New Jersey. Game Changer is designed for busy adults who want to get stronger, healthier, and feel their best without having to think about what to do in the gym, which is how we make a living. Joe and his team make fitness simple, effective, and built for real life. And I know that I have a few of my own private clients and my class and my boot campers who do your classes here in South Orange. So, and people all love you. So it's really good to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you again for having me.
Great, great. So I before we start, I'm going to ask you one question, which may be and are is I'm just going to ask it right off the bat. Is this the same game changer as baseball game changer?
No, it's a different one, and
If
it's
okay.
funny. We've gotten calls over the years asking like technical difficulties with the app
Yeah. Okay.
and all that. So different game changer than the app where I use for scorebooks and stuff.
Right, but not this, but the same game changer that the gym where you would do fitness training for the sports teams, right? Because I
Oh,
think my
yes.
son used to work out when he played for Columbia and played baseball. I
That's
think he
right.
used to come and
Okay.
do Game Changer with you. I think that was your Game Changer. So I think he
That's
used to
actually
come.
how I started the business was training kids. So
Okay,
that was my background as a college baseball player. But it evolved over the years. So yes, we probably have worked with your son then because we still work with the Columbia baseball team.
that's awesome. Yeah, he did that a couple of, I think, winter trainings with you. So, or summer,
Yeah,
yes, winter trainings, I think, with you. So, yeah, so that's
that
how.
makes sense. I thought you were
Yep.
talking about the app because we have that mix up over the years for the scorebook. I don't know if you're
Right.
familiar with that one.
Yes, I am very familiar with yeah, with both game changers. Yeah, so how did you make that transition from working with kids? Because working with kids in fitness and sports teams in fitness is obviously very different to working with adults and specifically with this segment of women who we're
Yeah.
going to be talking about tonight. So how did that evolve?
Yeah, it's a great question. It evolved slowly over time, right? Mainly training predominantly baseball players. It's a very seasonal training period, especially because it's so skill focused. A lot of the kids put so much time and effort into the skills. The strength and conditioning side was very seasonal. So, starting my business out, we kind of fell into it, right? There were parents of the kids that we were working with who requested, "Hey, do you do training for adults?" And we started slowly. I remember it was just Saturdays. We would train a small group, and then we did this inside of a little baseball facility, and we were in that place for 2 years, and then we expanded into a facility 10 times the size, and then our like our athlete program always stayed pretty steady, but it was our adult program that just got busier and busier and busier. And I think in the early years with my gym, we were mainly working with probably more new moms, and that just evolved over the years. Probably more like as we got closer to COVID and working our way through that, that's where we really started to find our niche of working with mainly adults over 40. Our average member is a 50-year-old female.
Huh.
So we've just really found our niche with that. I think our if anyone's ever been to one of our locations, it's really built for that person, right? Where maybe you maybe love working out, maybe you don't, but you just want to show up and be told what to do. You don't want to have to think. You're busy with life, kids, whatever, and you just want to carve out that time for yourself. And I think we make it really accessible for people, and it just yeah, we fell into it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel the same, like that sort of as you're, especially if you've been in the business for a while and you've had these people come with you. So, you've been training their kids and all of a sudden they find themselves going through this life change, which is very much the same in my business where I had been working with women for a really long time. And we all sort of went through having our kids or whatever, or they went through having their kids. And then we find ourselves in this late 40s to 50s and everything's kind of falling apart. And it sort of helped me shift what I was doing. As the clientele starts to age, we have to start to accommodate those changes as well.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know, what kinds of things do you deal like when you've got women in your classes, like if you're doing classes with women, can you I've never done, I will be honest, I've never done one of your classes, so walk me through a
Yeah.
little bit about like what it looks like, what it feels like.
Yeah, totally. So it's a personalized experience. So when you come in, you're greeted by your coach, whoever's going to be coaching you that day in that session. And most of our members are pretty consistent with their schedule. Not all, some need flexibility. So you're typically working with the same coach whenever you come in. And it's designed to be personal training just in a small group. So your coach is going to greet you. We're going to get you ready for your workout. And the workout's designed to be it really encompasses couple of different modalities, right? We're always going to start with your warm up and get your body prepped to do the workout, and then from there we move into our power work. That's one of the qualities that adults. It's one of the first quality adults lose as they age. So we do that early in our workout. It also primes your nervous system and really gets it firing and ready to go. And then the predominant time you're with us, we do our strength training focus. And the goal of that is to meet you with where you're at. So we have different members coming in at different, stages and different goals and maybe different injury histories. So that strength training is going to be catered to that individual. Not everyone is going to be doing the same thing, the same weights or anything like that, right? So it's really catered to the individual. It's all about that. That's the art of coaching, right? It's making
Yeah.
sure that, that person in front of us is getting exactly what they need, whether or not the person next to them is doing the same thing or different it's about the person that we're working with. So that's where the personalization comes in. So yeah, the predominant part of the workout is going to be the strength training, and then we always finish with a metabolic finisher to get that the heart rate up and going. So we get as much as we can in 45 minutes, and the workout is designed to be that way because we understand we're working with busy adults, right? You don't have 2 hours to be at the gym or 90 minutes. You can drive to GameChanger, workout, and drive home in all under an hour. That is a sustainable way to get it, your fitness routine and specifically your strength training in a few days a week. So it's designed to be effective and efficient.
Yeah. And have you noticed, I've noticed in my business, especially in the last couple of years, especially with this conversation with the conversation about menopause really exploding in everywhere, especially on social media, and just noticing how the increase in interest amongst women my age, um, in strength training and
Yeah.
the questions that come up. I get a lot of questions about, things that they've seen on social media and, the importance of strength training. So, I thought we should probably talk about that because I know everybody knows, like everybody always says, like, oh, we have to lift heavy weights. And they go and they like, you know, pull out a dumbbell that they can't hold and try and do something, and it's like, so, you know I just wanted to talk, just between us, about like the importance of strength training during this time and how to know where you are, what is heavy, what does it mean to lift heavy. I think that this is something that people want to know a lot about.
Yeah, totally. So a couple different thoughts on what you just shared. One, I think it's great that strength training is becoming more mainstream. 5, 10 years ago, there was a stigma associated with it that it makes you bulky and whatever else. But really, I think, all the research points to how strength training really increases your health span, right? And you want to get the most out of the years that we're all here and be able to move well and feel good and all that. So there's the overwhelming research around that. So I'm glad that the tide is turning and how this is becoming more mainstream, which I think is great, right? And I think something else I talk about a lot is there's not many things you can do 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and see amazing results,
Yeah,
right? Like you you
agreed.
you can't you can't eat right twice a week or 3 times a week and see great
Correct.
results, right? Stretching 2 or 3 times a week is it's hard to see results doing that as well, right? It's very hard to get results, but with strength training you can, right? You can do it
Yep,
2 or 3 sessions a week and you can see great results, and you can build muscle. There's so much you can do, get stronger. And I think the key is like functional strength training, right? You want to get stronger so that it affects and impacts your day to day, whether that's keeping up with your kids, your grandkids, if you go hiking, if you play pickleball, whatever those things are that you're doing. You want strength training is like building armor for your body, and you want to get stronger to support the lifestyle that you want to live, right? It's going to be
absolutely.
great for your metabolism as well. It's going to be like the engine. So there's so many benefits of strength training. Those are just a couple. But yeah, I think really it's such a lifestyle. It supports lifestyle that you want to live and get back to living is what we find for a lot of the women that we work with. And I'll also say too, there's like the mental side of it is huge, right? Like the
Huge.
confidence that comes through
Yeah.
strength training, and when you walk in on day one. And it doesn't take that long. It could be a couple of weeks, right? A month. You look back over that first month, what you're able to do with maybe 8 or 10 sessions from where you started, it's pretty remarkable, right? You can see some instant gratification in that regard in terms of the strength that you're building. Um, and that's helpful because it keeps the motivation going, right? So it helps build confidence. And something that we always talked about was the idea of like putting your own mask on first, right? For a lot of women, that's a challenge for whatever reason, whether it's their career, their kids, their family life. The tendency, the trend I've seen over the years of doing consults with thousands of women was just that, like they were never putting themselves first. So that doing that and doing the self-care and taking care of your physical state, your mental state, those are all things that come with exercise in general, but strength training as well. So I would say those are like a lot of the benefits that we see, like practically, from everything that from the women that we work with. We could get into the what how we define strength training if you
Yeah.
want to go there.
I mean, I just think it's helpful because I think a lot of a lot of people come on to, they come to Not Your Mother's Menopause, or they come on here and they see that we're talking and they want to know, like, I mean, and it's before I even go there, I just want to address one thing that you said, about the instant gratification. So there's like, I feel like there's a fine line, right? Because there is
Yeah,
like, yes, what you're saying, strength training, you go to the gym 2 or 3, you have a good workout 2 or 3 times a week, and you can absolutely see that. I see that all the time in my classes, in every session of classes I start. I'm like, mark where you are today. And then 12 weeks later, I bet you'll be at whatever it is. You can hold the plank longer, you can do the more push-ups, whatever it is, whatever the goal is. Like, I know you'll be able to do it if you just keep doing it. So there's that, like that relatively short time frame that you
yeah,
can see. But there's also this whole other world of instant gratification where people really feel like all they have to do is, and I'm going to use an example that comes up a lot, is like put on a weighted vest and go for a walk, and they're going to be 10 times stronger than they were a week ago. And that's not actually the case. You know, it's like you do have to keep doing the work, but the work
100%.
does give back, right? It's like if you do it, it's going to happen. And it
That's
doesn't
right.
take forever, but it does take time.
And I will add this too. I'm a big believer in consistency beats intensity. And what I mean by
Yeah.
that is like some of the mindset that we often try to break when somebody comes in is that they think they're starting maybe like it's been a while since they started, right? Life gets in the way and they're starting back up. And they think they have to do it 5, 6, 7 days a week, right? And they have to go as hard as they can. And that's just, that could wreck your hormones, right? There's things there like that. That
Yeah.
style is not going to be the most effective, right? But that's where like doing something a few days a week that you can do sustainably over the long haul, that's where the consistency over time really comes in. And that's going to beat going in and out of training, 5, 6, 7 days a week, hardcore, but then you have to stop because your joints can't handle it, you get hurt, right? Or so forth. So I think finding that sustainable approach where you can, do it 2 to 3 days a week, we find is the sweet spot for most people that
Yep.
we're talking about. It's a lifestyle that you can stick with, and any habits that you're doing, we're always about like the long term, right? So yes, you will see some quick feedback loops showing that you're getting stronger. But the key to your point is consistency over time, right?
Yeah.
Because that's really what's going to lead to the unlock of seeing better performance, feeling better, moving better, and all of that. So yeah, and I agree with you. I think it's important to define like how are we defining strength training? Because I think there's a lot of different ways that you can, and you do want to if you're trying to understand, okay, well, what does that mean for me? Like I'm trying to get into it. I know it's important, but what does that mean? So I think the first thing when I think of strength training is that it's relative, right? It's relative to that person. And it depends on where you're starting out at. That's why, what we do, it's personalized training, right? So I'll give you an example. We may have somebody who hasn't worked out in 20 years. They haven't touched a weight. For them, strength training could be, moving their body weight, could be doing squats to a box, right? It could be holding a plank. For them, strength training is going to be different than somebody who's been doing it consistently over time, right? And what I mean by that is it's eventually, yeah, like you may introduce some external resistance that could be in the form of a dumbbell, a kettlebell, you name it, right? There's any piece of equipment you want. But the key, what we find strength training in simplest terms, it's an exercise that you can do between you can call it a wide range of reps, 6 to 15 reps, right? If you're doing it anything more than 15 reps, it's probably not strength training, right?
It's
So you
movement.
want, exactly, it's movement. So you want to be challenged by what you're doing. And 8 to 12 is probably more of a sweet spot, but you can make that more broad and say 6 to 15. So that's where, like, if I'm just starting out, if I if I do like 8 squats, that may be strength training for me, right? Because it could be super challenging and I'm learning the movement and I don't need an external resistance yet, right?
That's right.
Where the opposite could be, hey, I've been doing this for years and I need a dumbbell and I need a weight that's going to challenge me. Where after 12 reps, I could only do maybe like 1 or 2 or 3 reps left in the tank, and that's it. Because if I could do more than that, then I'm probably not being challenged appropriately, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
strength training should be challenging. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you need to train till failure, but you should be challenged by what you're doing, and you need to that's going to look a little different for everyone, right? Based on how you move, based on your training history, any injuries you have. So that's where like we want to make sure it's personalized to that person. But that's how we define strength training. It's doing something challenging for 6 to 15 reps, whether that's weighted or unweighted. It's going to depend on the person. But yeah, you're going to be challenged. You're probably not going to failure, but you're probably within a couple reps of being there. So in a nutshell, that's how I think about like what strength. How we would define it when we're talking about that, because there's a lot of concepts that will say, oh, this is strength training, but it's really
Right.
not. It's just movement. It's just you're doing 20 or 25 reps. That's not strength training at that level. So I do think it's important to really, define what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of us who grew up in the 80s and were seeing Jane Fonda videos, and it was all about long and toned, and it's a different, that's not what we're looking for here. You really are looking, and I actually approach it a little bit differently. And one of the things I love about this business is that we can have different modalities of training,
Yeah.
right? And you as a client can come and find the modality that works best for you, right? So it's like when I'm working with clients and we're working on something, and obviously this is all depends on the person. Like it all depends on who this person is, right? So you've got your person like you talked about who hadn't worked out in 20 years and we're doing squats to a bench. And it's like they haven't even bent their knees in a like conscious way in a really long time, right? But then you've got somebody who's been working out for a while and they're working on their squats and they're working on, their whatever, their front squats or their back squats or whatever, they're working on something with weight and being able to kind of push the needle, right? So
Yeah.
you've got your 8 reps or whatever that you can do, but you want to get it a little bit higher. So you start to work into something where after 4 or 5, you're like, I've got nothing less in the tank, and you work there for a little bit, right? And then you work. So you're constantly kind of moving your needle to gauge on where you are on any given day. And especially at this time in life, women's bodies are so dynamic at this point of life that you could go to the gym if you've got people coming to GameChanger 2 to 3 times a week, right? So they come on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday they come in, they feel amazing, and they're lifting, everything's perfect, everything's great. And then Wednesday morning they come in, they're like, I feel like dirt and I can't get anything done. And I don't know why, because I did everything else exactly. I ate the same food, I slept the same amount, I drank the same amount of water, I took my vitamins, whatever it is, but we have to give ourselves that grace. And just like you said at the very beginning of the talk of this session, it was like you have to meet yourself where you are, and your coach, knowing that what kind of a good coach is it, whether it's in a group or one-on-one, that coach has to be able to recognize where you are on that given day and be able to say, okay, hold on, let's back off, or you know what, let's try this, let's put a little bit more weight on that bar.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the stress is stress on the body, right?
Yeah,
The body doesn't know if that's from workout stress, life stress. So yeah, you may come in one day and not be on your A game, right? And
yeah,
absolutely, you have to be able to adapt because it is for the long haul, right?
yeah,
There's not a finish line when it comes to it's not like you're going to do it for a year and stop, right? Like
that's
you have
correct.
to keep it going. So it's not like you have to empty the tank every single time you're in there. You do need to work hard, obviously, but not every day is created equal, right?
That's true. Yeah,
Depending on how your body is on that day and your nervous system and so forth.
that's true. That's very true. Yeah. What are your tips for maintaining this consistency? Like,
Mm,
how do you coach your clients to um, realize that this is a lifestyle? It's not like you said, it's not like it's not something you do for a year and then like walk and then you save it. Like
yeah,
what are your
I
tips
think
on that?
I think getting into a routine that feels sustainable is the most important thing, right? So you're in, so I think that's important, right? If again, if you go in with the mindset this has to be for 90 minutes, probably maybe you could do that for a certain period of time, right? But
Right.
how sustainable is that? So I think you have to go in and understand what would make this sustainable, right? And that's why my business exists, right? Because we help make it sustainable for people. You don't have to
Yeah.
think when you show up, right? So I think accountability is really big, right?
Yeah.
So if you're accountable with a training partner, with a group, I think that's huge, right? And making it stick. I think having a program that you're going in following, where you're not just showing up and figuring out what to do, I think is huge because
Yeah.
that just adds a layer of complexity to it, right? And you may not know exactly how to program workouts and everything, right? So I do think like it's easy to put somebody through a workout and make somebody tired. It's
Right.
not so easy to design a program. It's harder to design a program for someone that's tailored to them, right? Like meaning like
Yeah.
that's best left to a professional to do that, right? But
Agree.
anyone could do burpees and get tired, right? But that doesn't mean that it's going to get you stronger necessarily, right? So you want to be mindful of that, right? Because you want to make sure that the exercises you're doing are safe on your joints, or how you're doing the exercise is safe. But I do think accountability is really important. So get yourself in an environment where you can be accountable to a group, to a coach, whatever that is to you. Find a program that's designed to meet you where you're at. I think that will make it good because then you can see the progress that you're making, right? If you're tracking the weights that you're using, or if your coach is tracking the weights that you're using, you can see that you're getting stronger. I think that's important. And whatever the obstacles that can get in the way, like for some people, that could be convenience, right? So you have to build this into your lifestyle. So I think that
Yeah,
means it goes in your calendar and you make that appointment with yourself, just like you would an obligation with a family or work, right? A meeting. So you have to put it in your calendar. You have to prioritize it. So I think it's treating it like any other obligation in your life and then setting up the environment so that you want to go back, whether that's doing it with people that you enjoy being around, that's being accountable to a group or a coach. I think getting the right environment is going to make it sticky as well.
that's true. That's true. We've got some comments. I just wanted to share a couple comments. I don't know if you can see them, but they're coming up. There's somebody on here who I'm just going to scroll back for 1 second. There's somebody on here who said, and you have to hear this because you're going to love it. Somebody wrote, "Game changer changed my life," and gave the
Oh,
heart
I love that.
emoji. Yeah, I know. I totally love that. So whoever's out there, Joe loves it. And there's a lot of people on here looking at this. So this is obviously, we've definitely striking onto something that people want to know more about. Um, and I agree with you. I agree with you 100% on the walking into a gym and having somebody tell you what to do, because I know, and I don't know if I know that after being in a gym all day telling other people what they want to do, I love walking into my trainer's room and having her tell me what to do
Yeah, you don't
because
want to have to
I'm
think.
done.
Yeah, even
Sometimes, if I'm practicing, if I'm working on something for other people and kind of trying to learn new things and playing around in the gym, that's one thing. But when it comes to my training, it's like, I need somebody also. Like, we all need a coach. Like, coaches need coaches, right?
that's right.
We all need somebody who's going to be like, that's off, Like, I remember going into seeing my trainer and being like, something's not right, something's not working, and you can't see yourself. I can teach a billion people how to hinge, but like, I cannot see myself hinging, and I can feel something wrong, and I can have you or another trainer look at it and just say, like, there's a little thing that's going on here. Let's try and work that out. So
Yeah,
just
and
having
just
that.
it's huge. And think about it, like even the best professional athletes in the world have coaches,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, like at the highest of levels, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of the sport, Olympics, any sport, they all have coaches, right?
Yeah.
So, I think it just makes it easy, right? So I think again, getting back to an environment where you can do it, eliminating the friction with working out, that could be convenience, that could be whatever it is for you, right? It can be different for everyone. Some people hate it, right? So you need to
Right.
find an environment where it's tolerable, right? So like that's why we try to make it like cheers when people come in, because again, if you don't love working out,
Uh-huh.
we're going to make it
Yeah.
as painless as possible for you. If you love working out, then great. But I think it's really important to find the right environment, and that's why like sometimes the big box gym doesn't work for people because you go in and you see the sea of equipment and you
Yeah.
like it's overwhelming. Like you don't know where to do, or people are on the equipment that you want to use, and so forth. So you got to find the right environment where you can make it sticky for yourself.
Yeah. And that's also where there's not only the accountability and the motivation that happens, but there's the safety aspect too, which is something I think is really important to talk about. Like, you can say,
Absolutely.
I want to be ripped for next summer, or I want to extend my lifestyle, or, extend my life, or, be healthy and strong, just like we're talking about here. But and I'm going to join a gym. So I'm going to go in the gym and I'm going to look on Instagram and I'm going to see what people are doing and I'm going to try it. And then you're going to get hurt, right? Because it's like, having somebody around to say, this is how you do it, and watch how the whole chain is working, is super important in strength training.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, especially if you're doing strength training, how, we talked about it earlier. You want to make sure you're doing it right because you don't want to get hurt doing it, right?
Because then you're out.
So that's super important for sure. So I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah. One of the things that, and I'm sure you deal with this a lot too, dealing with this age group, dealing with shoulders
Hmm.
comes up a lot. One of the things that comes up so much is shoulder issues. I mean, the shoulder is so complex. We're going through these hormonal changes. It's affecting, how our body is reacting to inflammation, and you know, anything can sometimes just kind of aggravate it. And then working through over and over and over again, repeating the same kind of patterns or the same kind of movement patterns can really just exacerbate that. So having a professional be around to to watch how you're moving and to tell you, also to remind you that it's okay for you to rest. It's
Yeah, of
okay for
course.
you to it's not only okay for you to rest for a day, but it's okay for you to rest in between reps and sets and all these kind, like rest is part of it and rest is a huge part of the workout.
If you don't need to rest, then again, you may be doing more cardio than strength training,
Right.
right?
Right.
Which is common for a lot of people because I think a lot of people are conditioned to move that way in
Yeah.
their workouts. So no, I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah. What do you tell when people come to you, or I guess instead of asking you specific questions, kind of can you think of some of the most common questions that people that the over 40 women ask you, about fitness in general, maybe not just about strength training, but
Yeah. I think one of the common is like, what's the best type of workout to do, or
yeah.
like, should they do certain body part splits, or how to think about like how to put a workout together, if that makes sense. Um, so the way that typically for most people, full body workouts is generally what we prescribe.
Yeah.
That way you get the most bang for your buck in the least amount of time, and it can be pretty efficient with that, especially if you're not doing it like 5, 6 days a week, right? You can be really effective 2 or 3 days a week. So I think that's a big one is like how should we structure the workout? I think like how often to do it or how much cardio should I be doing versus strength
Yeah.
training? I think that's a big question that we get as well. Um, how long to work out for? Those are all like probably nothing like revolutionary, but those are a lot of the questions that we get and the people are trying to get answers to.
Yeah, and I think we as humans want answers, and a lot of times there aren't, a lot of times it's just you got to trial and error, figure out what works best for you. I talk a lot about food and working out, and I always like to tell my clients that I don't think that women of our age group should be working out in a fasted state. I don't think so.
Hmm.
However, if you are the person who doesn't feel good if you're working out with food in your belly, not like a full belly, but with anything in your belly, then obviously that statistic or that research doesn't apply to you. It doesn't mean
Right.
anything other than have a banana or something before you come to work out, because there's always going to be a variation from the sort of standard or the norm or what the common practice is saying. There's always, and that could be you.
There's always outliers.
There's always outliers. Yeah. Very
Yeah.
good.
That's
Excellent.
that that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But I think the cardio versus strength training is the big
It's a
question
big one.
that we get. A lot of people come from doing a lot of cardio, right? And they feel like they plateau and what have you. So I think that's a common one as well.
Do you want to talk about how you answer that question? Just in case
Uh,
people here are wondering.
Yeah, of course. I'll speak on that. I think when I think about cardio, I really, to simplify it, I think about like two different buckets, right? You have your zone two cardio and your high intensity cardio, right? I'm just oversimplifying it for now,
Yeah.
but two buckets. And what we find is that most people they over index on the high intensity bucket and they under index on the zone two bucket, right? So I think that's really the big thing that we see. And, with all the high intensity training that people do, it's not that it's bad. It's great to do some of it, right? Improving your VO2 max is critical, but it could also be counterproductive if you're neglecting other areas of your fitness routine, right? Strength training being a primary one of those, right? So I think it's about getting it right and getting the right balance of everything. So what we find for most people, if you're strength training 2 or 3 days a week, that's great. Getting most of your cardio being zone two, which is going to be more joint friendly. It's going to help build your aerobic capacity. It's going to really start to build the engine. I think more people doing that is what we find is a big takeaway because I feel a lot of people don't do enough of that.
Hmm.
Instead, they're used to doing 5 or 6 high intensity workouts a week. They're not doing much strength training, so just getting everything in balance is what we
Yeah.
find is the biggest change that most people need to make
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
optimize their fitness and their strength and all of that.
Yeah. Excellent. Are you going to open any more game changers?
We do. Yeah, we have a couple more in the works right
Oh,
now.
wow.
We're going to we're opening in Montclair. That will be our next
Great.
one. So we're excited to go there. We're opening one in Hillsborough and Wayne. Those are our next three that we're going to be opening.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
And
we're excited.
do you have you had when we were talking before, um, there's a, and I'm going to put this in when, so these talks will obviously live on, and they live on the Not Your Mother's Menopause YouTube channel, and they'll be replayed here, like into our Instagram feed. And there is a website, Game Changer. Is it Game Changer Fit?
GameChangerFit.com. Yeah, Game Changer.
GameChanger.com, and you gave me a website, free personal
A
training,
secret one.
a secret
Yes.
website. Can I share that when in the
Yes,
cat? Can I share that with everybody in the cat in
that's
the
right.
when we put this recording out? Okay,
You can,
great.
yeah. That's not like a pub like that will be public for anyone watching this, but it's not like something that's easily findable for
Okay,
most people. So yes,
all
that's a
right.
special offer here for you
So
guys.
if you've made it all the way through, so for anybody who has made it all the way through this talk, there will be in the caption and on our YouTube channel there will be a link for a special offer that is relative with like the Starbucks secret menu of Game Changer, um, and um, yeah, and we're super excited. And Joe and the Game Changer team will be on site at our event at Not Your Mother's Menopause in January, on January 11th, in Maplewood. And I just want to read, there's one more thing. Oh, somebody told me this somebody's been chatting a lot about how they're coming tomorrow at 5 in the morning to the Bel Air. Is that a place?
That's our Maryland, one of our, we have two locations in Maryland.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, okay. So someone's going to be there. Someone's coming to 5 a.m., Joe. So I think you should get in the car and, and go meet them because they're ready to go.
That's
They
great. I
are
love it.
ready to go. I know, it's so awesome. This has been so great to chat with you and to meet you in person. Although I think I've probably met you when my son was in high school, and I was carpooling a bunch of teenage baseball players around. But
Yeah,
it's good
that's
to
right.
see you again. Those were good days.
Likewise. Thank you for having me. Yeah, this has been a blast, and would love to connect anyone who wants to try us out. We're all over New Jersey, so I'm sure we have a location nearby, and would love the chance to meet you and help you. So thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Joe. Have a great night.
Thank you. Good night.
See ya.